Frederica of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, was a German princess who became, by marriage, a princess of Prussia, a princess of Solms-Braunfels, Duchess of Cumberland in Britain, and, finally, Queen of Hanover in Germany, as the consort of Ernest Augustus I of Hanover, the fifth son and eighth child of King George III. She was born in the Altes Palais of Hanover as the fifth daughter of Charles II, Duke of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, and his first wife, Frederica, daughter of Prince George William of Hesse-Darmstadt. Her father assumed the title of Grand Duke of Mecklenburg on 18 June 1815. Duchess Frederica was the niece of her future mother-in-law, Queen Charlotte, since her last husband was her first cousin. Early life. Frederica's mother died on the 22nd of May 1782 after giving birth to her 10th child. 2 years later, her father remarried the younger sister of his deceased wife, Landgravine Charlotte of Hesse-Darmstadt. But this union ended just 1 year later, when Charlotte died of complications resulting from childbirth on the 12th of December 1785. The twice-widowed Duke Charles considered himself unable to give his daughters proper rearing and education, so he sent Frederica and her elder sister Charlotte to raise and Louise to the maternal grandmother, Princess Maria Louise of Hesse-Darmstadt. Princess Maria Louise's choice of a Swiss teacher for the girls, Salome de Geleu, proved to be a good one. Sometime later, Duke Charles also sent his 2 surviving sons, the hereditary Grand Duke George and Charles, to be raised by the grandmother. First marriage. Frederica's parents were anxious to arrange advantageous marriages for all the daughters, and used family connections to bring this about. Queen Frederica Louisa of Hesse-Darmstadt, wife of King Frederick William II, was a first cousin of Frederica's mother. Frederica's parents broached with the Prussian royal family the idea of marriage between the children, and the Prussians were not averse. On the 14th of March 1793, the princesses of Mecklenburg-Strelitz coincidentally met the Prussian King Frederick William II at the Prussian Theatre in Frankfurt am Main. He was immediately captivated by the grace and charm of both sisters, Frederica and Louise. The pending marriage negotiations received traction, and within weeks, the matter was settled. Frederica's elder sister Louise would marry Crown Prince Frederick William, and Frederica would marry his younger brother Prince Louis. The double engagement was celebrated in Darmstadt on the 24th of April 1793, only a few weeks after the sister fortuitously met the future father-in-law at the theatre. On December 24, Louise and Crown Prince Frederick William were married in the Royal Palace of Berlin. 2 days later, on the 26th of December, Frederica and Prince Louis were also married at the same venue. Unlike her sister, Frederica did not enjoy a happy marriage. Although her husband died only 3 years after the wedding, that period is said to have been rather unhappy. Louis is said to have preferred the company of his mistresses and completely neglected his wife, or at least, that is her version. In response, she allegedly began an affair with her husband's uncle Prince Louis Ferdinand. Despite her husband's alleged neglect, Frederica did bear him 3 children in as many years. Frederick in 1794, a short-lived son, Charles, in 1795, and a daughter, Frederica, in 1796. In 1795, King Frederick William II appointed Louis as chief of the Dragoons Regiment No. 1, which was stationed in Schwedt. 1 year later, on the 23rd of December 1796, Prince Louis died of diphtheria. It was 3 years almost to the day since the wedding. At this time, his youngest child, Frederica, was less than 3 months old, and his eldest son was hardly 2 years old. After Louis's death, his father provided Frederica with a suitable residence near Berlin, and a sufficient income, and she moved with her 3 children to Schönhausen Palace near Berlin. In 1797, Frederica and her cousin Prince Adolphus, Duke of Cambridge, 7th son of King George III of Great Britain by his wife Queen Charlotte, became unofficially engaged. The Duke of Cambridge asked the consent of his father to the marriage, but the king, under pressure from his wife, refused. Second marriage. In 1798 Frederica became pregnant. The father was Prince Frederick William of Solms-Braunfels. The prince recognized his paternity and requested her hand in marriage, a proposal that was quickly granted in order to avoid scandal. On the 10th of December of that year, the couple was married in Berlin and immediately moved to Ansbach. 2 months later, in February 1799, Frederica gave birth to a daughter who only lived 8 months. Prince Frederick William, disappointed and embittered, resumed his old dissipated lifestyle and became an alcoholic. In 1805 he resigned his military posts for health reasons. Frederica had to maintain her family with her own resources after her brother-in-law, King Frederick William III of Prussia, refused to restore her annual pension as a Dowager Princess of Prussia. Frederica's older brother-in-law and head of the family, William Christian, Prince of Solms-Braunfels, advised her to get a divorce. With his full approval, she and her husband nonetheless refused. Third marriage. In May 1813, during a visit to his uncle Duke Charles in Neustrelitz, Prince Ernest Augustus, Duke of Cumberland, the 5th son of King George III of Great Britain, met and fell in love with Frederica. Duke Charles made it clear to his daughter that her separation from the Prince of Solms-Braunfels was absolutely logical, and that she saw a marriage with an English prince as a great opportunity for her. During the next months Frederica considered the intentions of Ernest Augustus and the possible effects on her own situation. When, after the victory of the Allies in the Battle of Leipzig, Ernest Augustus spent some days in Neustrelitz, he was greeted enthusiastically. Sometime later Frederica asked the Prussian king for approval for her divorce from Prince Frederick William of Solms-Braunfels. All parties agreed, including the Prince of Solms-Braunfels, but Frederick William's sudden death on the 13th of April 1814 precluded the need for a divorce. The prince's demise was considered by some as a little too convenient, and some suspected that Frederica had poisoned him. In August, the engagement with Ernest Augustus was officially announced. After the British king gave his consent to the wedding, Frederica and Ernest Augustus were married on the 29th of May 1815 at the parish church of Neustrelitz. Sometime later, the couple travelled to Great Britain and married again on the 29th of August 1815 at Carlton House, London. Queen Charlotte bitterly opposed the marriage, even though her future daughter-in-law was also her niece. She refused to attend the wedding and advised her son to live outside England with his wife. Frederica never obtained the favour of her aunt mother-in-law, who died unreconciled with her in 1818. During her marriage to Ernest Augustus she gave birth thrice, but only a son survived, who would eventually become King George V of Hanover, Queen of Hanover. On the 20th of June 1837, King William IV of the United Kingdom and Hanover died without issue. His heir was Princess Victoria, only daughter of Prince Edward Augustus, Duke of Kent. But because Hanover had been ruled under semi-Salic law since the times of the Holy Roman Empire, she could not inherit the Hanoverian throne. The next male descendant of the late king was the Duke of Cumberland, Frederica's husband, who then became King Ernest Augustus I of Hanover, with Frederica as his queen consort. After a short illness, Queen Frederica of Hanover died in 1841 at Hanover. The court master builder Georg Ludwig Friedrich Leves was instructed by the king to build a mausoleum for his wife and himself in the garden of the chapel at Herrenhausen Palace. He also gave royal orders for the transformation of a central square near the Rheinschloss and renamed it Friedrichenplatz in her honor. Titles, styles, honors and arms. 3 March 1778 to 26 December 1793, Her Serene Highness Duchess Frederica of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. 26 December 1793 to 10 December 1798, Her Royal Highness Princess Louis Charles of Prussia. 10 December 1798 to 29 August 1815, Her Serene Highness Princess Frederick William of Solms-Braunfels. 29 August 1815 to 29 June 1841, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cumberland and Teviotdale. 20th June 1837 to 29 June 1841, Her Majesty the Queen of Hanover. Issue. Ancestry.